Hello there guys and welcome back to the channel. Now, Absorbing Man's deep dive is out and we are going to break it down. Now, I know I need to make one for Baron Zemo as well, so I will try to get to it as soon as possible. It's been quite a busy weekend and recently I have just been trying to give myself a bit of a rest on weekends. I know that many of you are not quite keen on that, but still. Either way, Absorbing Man's here, and out of the both champions, I must say that he does look more interesting. His base kit is going to be based around two different forms, which is going to be his Black Uru and Magma form, each activated with level 1 and level 2, respectively, giving him different effects and different immunities. He has an Armor Break and Armor Shatter immunity on his base, and then for the rest of the time, if he's in his Black Uru form, he can have Shock and Bleed immunity, and if he's in his Magma form, which activates on level 2, he will be Incinerate, Cold Snap, and Frostbite immune, something like that. And that means that he has access to a whole bunch of immunities. Now, as you can see, he's a Mystic character, and he doesn't actually really interact with buffs in any way as a typical Mystic would be, which I kind of predicted. And, well, truth be told, as an Absorbing Man, he doesn't do much of absorbing anything. You know, everybody thinks of Absorbing Man as in, like, you know, he will do something with opponent's powers or something like that, but he doesn't really interact with anything that the opponent does, but he kind of utilizes the surroundings of contest to adjust the way he plays. Now, and I'm kind of okay with that, because it does give him quite a bit of customizability, I would say. And you can do the things that you need to do with him. One thing that is very clear, he is going to be quite high skill cap character, in my opinion, that will focus on light intercept, because that is virtually the only way you can reliably and consistently pause your forms and maintain indefinite and infinite duration, persistent, permanent duration, thus having all the benefits and able to ramp up quicker, and that will require you to land in a ton of light intercept. So if you're not good at light intercepting, well, you have one or two options. Absorbing Man isn't for you, or you can start practicing, and that includes myself. I'm not the best at light intercepting, but I suppose this champion will force me to learn and learn quickly. Now, additional thing with his forms is his we're gonna get back to that in a second. So his forms are basically separated in energy and physical. So his Black Uru is the Shock Bleed immunity and also gives him massive physical resistance. I believe it's like 8800 physical resistance. And also then you deal physical burst damage and your basic attacks are physical attacks. If you're in your Magma form, which you can choose to enter with a pre-fight, you're going to have your Incinerate, Frostbite, Cold Snap immunity, and massive energy resistance. And you will be dealing energy burst damage, and your attacks will be energy based. So I do like the fact that he can shift from one to another. Also, you can stack vulnerabilities on opponent by light intercepts. So again, light intercepts are going to be very, very important, increasing your damage further, basically. And on your base, you do have 20% crit resistance, immunity to armor break and armor shatter debuffs, but your critical penetration is lower than base, so his crits isn't going to be hitting as hard, or more specifically, they will be ignoring less armor and resistance. Absorbing Man is no stranger to brawling with beings of otherworldly resilience. He reduces the duration of opponents' indestructible, immortality, unstoppable, and unblockable buffs by 90%. Now, this is very, very cool. He, by default, will basically immediately makes all of the indestructibles and immortalities and unblockables and unstoppables expire extremely quickly, so he is going to be like a very decent solution to champions who do spam those buffs if they expire. It's kind of like Mojo's ability, which he has on all the buffs except on these select buffs, but it never goes on cooldown, it's always present, so I do quite like that as well. And obviously that will make him a great option for a whole bunch of champions like Hulkling, like Hercules, so on and so forth, which is quite nice, just to be able to get through them quicker. Right, all of his forms and physical and burst energy burst damage are unaffected by ability accuracy, which is kind of decent. You can kick him out of a form by countering his special attack with a heavy attack, but you can only do that once in 20 seconds. Another cool thing that he can do is he can refine his forms. If you basically enter your form again once you already were in that form, then you start building your morph charges. Now, the morph charges are nice, but they're not like super crazy core, I would say, to his kit. It's kind of like a win more condition with his morph charges, where you can build up to, I believe, 600, and then you can convert every 150 charges to a very sizable vulnerability debuff. So if you are quick at earning them, which is by being immune to specific effects or just entering and re-entering your forms quickly with plenty of duration left, you will be able to do more damage, but I don't think that's like super vital. But again, with his refined forms, you get additional benefits like your specials being unblockable, like in your magma form, every time you make contact with your opponent, you inflict short bursty incinerates, and so on and so forth. So again, if you do play him correctly and aggressively, you do get additional benefits to virtually everything that he does. So based on what we saw, obviously, a lot of his damage will come from bursts of different type of damage, but I do absolutely love the fact that it is either going to be physical or energy, and you can switch in between that. So he kind of eliminates that weakness of, you know, if you go up against champion with big energy resistance, a ton of champions will do poorly. He can just switch to physical. So I do quite like that. Again, however, he is very unusual Mystic Champion, I will say that much. Here is basically what the morph charges do. So when you refresh a form, you can gain morph charges based on how much duration you have left on that original form. You can also gain 90 charges whenever you are immune to armor break or armor shatter. Also, when you punish opponent's special with your heavy chaining into a special, you gain extra critical rating and also like 30 morph charges. But the entire point of this is you can do medium light medium combo if you have at least 150 morph charges, or activate special attack at max morph charges to consume them, and then inflict a vulnerability passive with 2200 potency per 150 charges consumed for 30 seconds. So that will be quite sizable vulnerability, and that will let you do quite significantly more damage. But again, I do think that in most cases it's going to be kind of like win more condition. But, you know, we'll see how it works out. So he gains a bonus critical rating whenever he gets to whenever he drops his heavy attack. If you drop a heavy attack and the first hit connects while opponent is stunned, you gain a little bit critical extra rating. If you land your heavy attack and the opponent isn't stunned, then you get a ton of a critical bonus rating. And then if you chain a special attack after the first hit of heavy attack, all that critical bonus transfers also to your special attack. So your special attack will be all but guaranteed to crit. So again, he's not necessarily what we would have thought Absorbing Man to be, but from what I see, I do quite like what I see. Like in this clip here, he ate like a full-on Nimrod special 2 and barely took any damage due to that massive energy resistance. I did like that bit quite a lot. And yeah, obviously, again, because of him being able to do energy damage, he's able to deal with Korg. If the form is refined, we can see that you passively incinerate the opponents, and there are some fight rotations, but he can do quite sizable bursts of damage here for a maxed out 5-star. You can see that, you know, a single hit there does like 7,000 something damage. And his signature ability, it looks like it is going to be quite important, because you do extend the duration of your forms up to 40%, which I think is going to be quite important to maintain this 100% uptime of specific forms. And that is going to be quite important, because if you want to rely on any of his immunities, you will want to have that 100% uptime. And then also, when Absorbing Man consumes his morph charges, he gains non-stacking regeneration, healing up to 30% of his missing health, which is kind of neat. I don't think that's super important. As a defender, this triggers when you refresh or enter any form. So as a defender, he's going to be triggering regeneration quite a lot. And personal regeneration effects pause for 3 seconds when Absorbing Man is struck with through damage, and are removed when a form is deactivated early. So Cosmic Champions will have to deal with much more regeneration. Basically, will continuously keep pausing this stuff if you have through damage active. Again, from the fight examples that were showed in the deep dive, and I will leave a link to it in the video description, it did look like it is quite skill-intensive play, again, requiring you to perform a whole bunch of light intercepts. And again, out of all of the things in game, light intercepting is one of those things that I'm not overly confident with myself. I'd be much happy if it was medium intercepts. But hey, there's no time to learn like today, right? So a lot of us will either be forced to basically not use Absorbing Man or learn how to light intercept like gods. On the bright side, that will help, with the rest of the game as well. So in that example, he was actually doing quite a lot of damage. Again, here we can see that he's dealing like 14k bursts there on every single hit with, his base damage isn't that big, but the burst damage did seem to be quite decent. And also some of the shots that we see from Labyrinth of Legends in the longer fights, he could ramp up quite nicely. Now let's break down his synergies. He does have a very nice synergy with Titania, giving Titania full-on bleed immunity, which is not bad at all. Additional immunities are always nice. And also Absorbing Man's medium and heavy attacks gain extra critical damage rating, which will increase the amount of burst damage that you do. Now with Thor's, the second medium attack inflicts armor break debuff, reducing armor by 500 for 9 seconds. That's, not the biggest armor break, but still quite nice. Thor's heavy attacks now inflict armor breaks as well and stack up to 2. It is okay-ish armor break, but it is quite short. And Thor Jane Foster against Cosmic Champions now can inflict degen instead of shocks, which, again, is take it or leave it type of ability. Absorbing Man with Rogue reduce the duration of non-damaging debuffs other than stuns by 50%. Now, this is a very cool synergy as well, I think, for Absorbing Man. And Rogue, the timer for Rogue's replicated buffs is paused during opponent's special attacks, is something that Rogue shouldn't need the synergy for. It should just be in her base kit. So I'm kind of pissed off that I even released this synergy. Absorbing Man with Daredevil Hell's Kitchen. While at or below 15 combo meter, gain 1000 block proficiency. While above, gain 1000 critical rating. I think this one's quite cool. It kind of takes inspiration of Daredevil Hell's Kitchen's kit. And Daredevil Hell's Kitchen increased buff duration by additional 7 seconds. I think it's quite cool for him. And we might see some interesting things, because now he will be able to maintain more furies and cruelties and stuff like that. So it's not bad at all there. And with Immortal Hulk and Immortal Abomination, we have gain immunity to all poison effects for Absorbing Man, which is very cool, which is just about only immunity he doesn't have in his kit, so that's very, very good. And Omni Form lasts additional 3 seconds longer, which I think is also very, very good, so I absolutely love this synergy for him. Immortal Abomination, gain 250 energy resistance for each poison effect on himself, so you can get up to 12, so you can get a fairly sizable energy resistance there, which is neat. And as a reminder, Immortal Abomination already gains physical resistance in his base abilities based on the amount of poisons he has. And then Hulk Immortal, it just increases immortality ability accuracy, so it's, in most cases, it won't do anything. But here we are. As I said, he does look quite interesting. He's definitely not a standard Mystic character. There's virtually no interaction with opponents' buffs at all. The only kind of like Mystic-y ability that he has was in one of the forms when he is blocking. He is reducing opponents' effect power rate by 70%, and then when he stops blocking, he gains that power for himself. That's like virtually only Mystic ability that he has. However, as a Mystic champion, he would still benefit from Mystic Dispersion, which would, make him quite significantly easier to use. It's just that you would have to wait for these buffs to expire naturally in most cases. But as a champion, he definitely looks interesting. Now, it is hard to say whether he's going to be completely busted, or he's going to be somewhat impractical to play, or how well he's going to do in contest. This is one of those cases where I hope for the best, but it could work out who knows how. It all will depend on how easy and reliable he's actually to use, how well you can utilize his immunities, and also ultimately for this style type of champion, how much damage he does. And damage is one of the things that we never look at deep dive. It did look quite decent, so that is kind of encouraging, because often in deep dives the damage just looks atrocious. But again, it's kind of hard to say exactly where he's going to land in the game. He might be a very cool niche type of champion, or he might be very, very good kind of like brawler type of champion that you just want to play and use. He definitely will require quite high skill cap to use, in my opinion, in order to at the very least get the best results, because those light intercepts you need to land like every 6 seconds or so, or almost that, and that is no small feat, no small task. But there are a ton of things that I do like. I do like, as always, the fact that there is customizability in his kit. You can go with basically physical damage or energy damage. You can go with bleed and shock immunity, or incinerate and cold snap immunity, and you can stack up your vulnerabilities and then also kind of mitigate opponents' power gain in a sense. There are quite a few things that I do like about him, definitely. I also like that 90% buff duration reduction on those specific 4 buffs. But again, we'll see when he actually arrives. He's 1000% not going to be everybody's cup of tea. That much I can say for sure. People either are going to be indifferent, dislike him, or really like him, I think. And it's going to be very, varied arrival, I'd say. Because based from what I saw, based from how he has to be played, he is a bit different. So let me know what you guys think. And I do actually look forward to getting my hands on a 5-star just so I can start practicing, because I do think that if you can light intercept and if you can get used to his playstyle, he could be a very, very good champion. So, what is your opinion? And I am going to catch you guys soon. See ya. Hello there guys, and welcome back to the channel. So we have all the information about the next